So Jenny's asking a question, is there any way to see what other coaches are charging for various activities? Yes, eventually we'll do that. And again, I think we're almost at the point now where we're going to show you a collaboration area that'll show you an opportunity for lots of ways for you guys to collaborate on everything like what language works during the coaching period, what language works during the trial period, what kind of pricing people are getting, all that kind of stuff. There's a great opportunity for collaboration among all of you who are in this. So far, we've had this sort of one-way conversation of us doing a webinar to you or us sending emails to you and then you responding individually to us. So what we're doing now is we've created an email account at Google Docs that will allow you guys access to a dedicated email address. We'll talk to you a little bit about what that looks like and how that works, and talk to you about opportunities for you to use that as a place for collaboration. So let's just jump there. So I'm going to switch over to Christine, right? Okay. So I'm going to switch back over to Christine's desktop here. She's going to take over and show us.
Okay. At this point on your screen, you should be looking at a site, the heading Live MOCA Coaching Resources. So, see it? Okay. So this is the collaboration area that Michael was talking about that we have created for you, and we will be sending out an email after this webinar that will contain the link to it. But like you mentioned, we created dedicated email addresses, accounts for all of you. And the accounts are basically your first name dot your last name at livemocacoaches.com, and use that to log in. Your password will start off as your last name, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you've logged in, you'll have to change your password, and then you'll have access to the site you see here. You'll be able to come here to actually get all the links. In the past, we've been emailing you with links to our previous webinars, our FAQ documents, as well as some other documents as well. But moving forward, you can come to the site to find everything you'll need. For example, here are the links to the webinars. And on the side here, you can see there's an FAQ where we've compiled all your frequently asked questions with the answers. And this list of FAQs will keep growing as your questions keep coming in. If we go back to the left here, there's also a section for the documents. This is what I mentioned earlier. We will be uploading resources here for you. For example, there's application form. If you know of anyone, I think Carlos mentioned earlier, if we're looking for ESL coaches and we know of any native English coaches who would be interested, here's an application form. You could forward them. But there's also the stuff we talked about and emailed yesterday, for example, down here, the payment, stuff related to payment and reporting. There's also a forum here. Once you've signed in, you'll be able to post, actually have a discussion, not just with us, like you have been by emailing at coaches@livemoca.com, but you'll also be able to discuss with each other and find out how each other's doing and share some best practices, answer each other's questions. You can do that here from the forum. And lastly, like we mentioned, here's another place we'll be making announcements to you. This is our blog. We'll be keeping this updated daily with the latest news on additional information we have, or we're scheduling another webinar, et cetera, any new stuff upcoming for you. And lastly, if you're still not finding what you need, you still have questions that we haven't answered yet, you can always click the Contact Us link. And there we are, coaches@livemoca.com. And bringing you back to the front page here, as you'll see, there's actually under Quick Links, under Client Management, this was the tool I showed you earlier. If you want to get to the report I showed you earlier that shows you who has been assigned to you, and of these students, what are they doing, and who is still in a trial, and who has actually purchased signed up for the coaching program, you can find that here. Yeah. So actually, let me show you how to log in. Like I said I would earlier. Let me log back out. So back to here. To get to the tool I showed you earlier, you click on Client Management, what happens is you'll be redirected to a login screen. And to log in, you would use your Live Mocha credentials. Once you put your Live Mocha credentials in, you'll see the report of your students and their activities. Are there any questions?
Yeah. I can't unmute. The question is, with the email address. And we should probably tell them about who that information using Live Mocha Coaches as that information. What's the email address for the Live Mocha Coaches?
Okay, so just to repeat, the emails we've created for you will be your first name dot last name at livemochacoaches.com. And your password when you initially sign in will be your last name, 12345. Okay, so I have some feedback here that the sound was fuzzy, so I'll just repeat that for the people who didn't hear me clearly. The email addresses we've created for you are your first name dot last name at livemochacoaches.com. And to sign in, for the first time, your password will be your last name, 12345.
But they don't need to memorize that.
That's right. You don't need to memorize that. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, so you don't need to memorize that. We will send you an email afterwards to give you any of the stuff we've shown you, the links to both this Live Mocha Coaching Resources site as well as the link to the reporting console I was showing you earlier. We'll send you the links to those as well as instructions on how to log in either case.
Will you make me present?
One other point I'd like to make about your Live Mocha Coaches email address is that you don't have to do this, but I would recommend that you think about the value of doing this. At the moment, you've signed up with your some form of email mechanism that you've been using for Live Mocha. If you change your Live Mocha credentials, so if you actually go into the account and change your email to your Live Mocha Coaches email, that means that all of the messaging associated with Live Mocha, including your student messages and your reviews and all that stuff, would actually be inside of your new Gmail account. And what's nice about that is that you could automatically set up filters and tags to be able to keep all that stuff organized so that messages that come from us can be in one bucket, messages that come from your students go in another bucket, messages that come from your prospective students go in another bucket, messages that come from your coaching peers can go in a different bucket. And then, in other words, we created this mechanism for you to try to help you organize everything that has to do with Live Mocha for your coaching experience. You don't have to do that. If you're happy with your current email setup, you're certainly welcome to do that, but it's something that you might want to consider of using once you get used to this new Live Mocha Coaches email address. You might want to use it for your credentials inside of Live Mocha so that all Live Mocha messaging actually ends up in that inbox. Okay, so I've turned it back over to Christine, and she's going to show you one more thing associated with this Live Mocha coaching resources.
So actually, there were a couple of things I forgot to show you last time we ran through this. Just quickly, at the top of the site, you can access your email, your mail inbox. But the other thing, there's a test email from Michael. But the other important thing we wanted to show you here was the document repository. So been long requested by our tutors and coaches to have a place to upload documents and resources, you know, possibly for other coaches, you know, that can use, or maybe even for their students. So we don't have a perfect solution in place. In the meantime, what you can do is go to Documents here, top of the screen, and upload your document. And we will basically be looking at this and putting them into the correct places on the Live Mocha Resources site.
So give them an example of documents. What would it be?
So for example, a lesson plan, like Michael was mentioning, you know, the student who's coming through and you've designed a lesson plan for them. Rather than emailing it to them, or in addition to emailing it to them, you can upload it to Google Docs and provide a link. Sorry, so like I mentioned, the lesson plan example from earlier, you can upload it and actually share it with the other coaches. And I think this is where Jenny asked earlier, you know, how we can find out what other coaches are doing. This is a great place where you can share lesson plans you built for your students and best practices.
So the other cool thing about this particular asset is that there's built-in chat. I've actually invited Christine to chat, but she's ignoring me. So let's see if she can, if she goes down to chat. There it is. There's a yes, and so you can see down there. If I go over to mine, I can start to say something over here. And Google has got the essential. It has the equivalent of Skype, and so you can put test messages in there and stuff like that. I'll just do this real quick. This is a test. There you go. And then she and I can chat with each other through Google Chat on the side, or she's right, as you can see, she's over here on the screen. She can type in there. If she's connected to me, she can type in there. You guys can, in other words, you guys can be chatting with anybody that's online, including any of us here from Live Mocha, as well as with each other. And as a result of that, you can chat while you're online. You can chat using video. You can chat using text. And you can also use this particular area to share documents with each other and just basically share information with each other. And of course, also get all of your information from Live Mocha, as well as again, if you use this email inbox as your credentials at Live Mocha, that means all of your conversations with your students will be in one place, and you'll be able to organize it using Google's fantastic search and tagging mechanisms. So, any questions on this before we move on to our last element? So while we were doing all this, somebody asked the question about, again, about whether or not we're using some sort of Live Mocha algorithm or Live Mocha points or performance algorithm to decide how many students that you get, and the answer is no. At this point in time, you are in a coaching pilot project. All of you are highly qualified coaches, and so all of you will get an equal number of students as soon as we figure out how to get our systems to do that correctly. You will all get an equal number of potential students. And then at some point in time down the road, I think that we'll probably institute something along the lines of a peer review so that you can, your group of coaches can help each other perform better, and we'll have webinars on how to do a better job and so forth. But I think just for now, we're just going to keep this simple. You're assumed to be an outstanding coach because you were invited in the first place. We picked the people that were the most active and had the most experience, and so you're going to get an equal number of students for quite some time to come.